Coach, when the Bills fans get a new player onto the roster, they can't help but find out anything and everything they can about him. So I talked to a few of them and said, "Hey, would you be interested in hearing from Coach Izzo, who spent a couple of years with him in the basket?" And they went, "Oh, that'd be amazing." So here we are. The day one when right after Keon was drafted, I had a chance to speak with him, and we did an interview, and I said, "What would Coach Izzo say about Keon Coleman?" And he smiled and said, "He would tell you I'm funny." So here's his chance to be right or possibly wrong, Coach. What would you say about Keon?
Josh, I recruited Keon. In other words, when football started recruiting him, I did a little research because they called me about him, said he's a pretty good basketball player. And Keon Coleman could have played basketball here if basketball was his sport. I've had a couple of guys, Andre Rison, when I was an assistant. But I had a couple of other guys that played. Gates was here for a semester. He became a great tight end. I'm trying to think who our leading receiver was one year, tight end or for a career. And he played with me in a Final Four, started. So I've had a track record of football's my favorite sport. So in fact, I had a good friend of mine who Mariucci, of course, with San Francisco, but a guy named Pat Morris was your line coach there 4 or 5 years ago, and Pat retired, I think, 3 years ago. Anyway, we were together here, and him and Mariucci, so I have a little interest in Buffalo too. But Keon is he's kind of an interesting guy. You saw by his press conference. I mean, he can be a little quirky and corny, but he is a fun guy, and he is a hell of a player. I mean, he made some plays here in football, and and even in basketball, he's very intelligent, picks up stuff like immediately. He's got a big heart, I mean, he did leave here, okay? He left here. We had some issues football-wise. He did leave here going into his junior year, but he came by here before he left, and I tried to convince him to stay. But for the most part, he's a very loyal guy too, and came back for senior night here just for basketball, And so I think he's going to be a good teammate. I think he's going to be, an incredible receiver. I mean, he's got speed, he's got strength, he's got tremendous hops, and he can go up and get the ball. And I know you got a good quarterback, and I thought when you drafted him, I said, wow, what a great fit for our boy Keon. And so, yeah, I love him. I still stay in contact with him, which is odd when a kid leaves. I mean, he didn't leave my program, he left football, but I still stay in touch with him because I respect him. I respect his process, and I'm hoping he has a long, good career, and all you Buffalo fans can get back and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be really appreciated, in particular if he's able to contribute to that. Look, you just mentioned the senior night for basketball and Keon going back. When I saw that video, I was floored. He's got the Steven Izzo jersey on. He's hanging out with the guys. It was almost like I've heard this before. Once you go to Michigan State and once you're a Spartan, you're kind of always a Spartan, even though he left. What did it mean to have him back around? Just even for that short amount of time? I saw his arm around you in the one video. I thought, what a cool thing for him to be able to go back and know that he's got that core group of people that he can always kind of lean on.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, and it's not a recruiting pitch, but I do think we've developed something here that's been special, and part of it is because we've had 3 basketball coaches in 60-some years, and so there's continuity, from the Magic era to the before Magic era to the after Magic era, and that always helps. But even in football here, we had a guy named George Perlis who coached the Steel Curtain at Pittsburgh, and George always believed in bringing guys back. So in Keon, when he called and said he's coming up, I said, "You're kidding me," because that took courage, like, are people going to be mad at him? Well, Tom Izzo wasn't going to be, because I understood the situation. But are people going to be? But he sat right in the front row. He sat on the table as, those guys were getting introduced. He wore Stevens' jersey, That wasn't just for show. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, he's an interesting dude, if you ask me, and a very talented one. It's I think he's going to be a great addition. And I'm kind of happy he went to a place like Buffalo. I mean, I think football's football there. Sometimes you get into LA or New York and, there's so many distractions. I mean, you're homing in. I mean, I'm from the UP here, so we get almost as much snow as you get. And I told him he's tough enough to handle the snow, and he's going to hurt those D-backs because they won't be able to. When they're slipping around, it's going to be to his advantage. So I said it's a lot better than playing in Miami or something.
I have a long relationship with Nate Oates, the coach down at Alabama. He obviously was at UB before that, and I know that he went to several of your practices, and he always talked about how there's a football element to Coach Izzo's practices. And I asked Keon about that, and he said, "Oh, he said it definitely helped me become a better football player playing basketball for Coach Izzo." When you had him in some of those drills on the basketball court, were there times when you had to go, all right, you're a little different. You're going to bang some of these guys and have a little different result.
That's one thing I did love about him. You think of a receiver and you say maybe those receivers are a little softer, because that's why you play receiver. So you can be out there in space and you're not getting hit as much. That is not Keon. Keon, I thought when he played football here, and I do feel like when I come back in my reincarnation someday, I'm going to be a football coach. This sport's too soft for me. I enjoy it. In fact, the year we won the national championship, we had a kid named Mateen Cleaves who was a two-way player and would have been a great football player, hurt his back. I had another guy named Andre Hudson who was recruited more in football than basketball. So they called us a football team on hardwood. And we got beaten a rebound. We won every rebound battle, and we got beat at Ohio State by 1 point, and we lost the rebound battle. So I called Saban and I said, "Can you get me some football gear at my practice tomorrow?" So 20 minutes left in practice, they roll out 12 sets of gear, helmets, shoulder pads. We put them on and we played this rebounding drill. It became legendary. If I did it now, I'd get sued,
Yeah.
God almighty, I'd be 10 lawyers, 75 parents. But by the way, 4 or 5 of those guys ended up in the NBA.
Sure.
Jason Richardson, the slam dunk contest,
Sure.
winner, Zach Randolph. I mean, we had some. So Keon, we couldn't do those drills, but Keon was physical. Keon could guard a lot of people. There were a couple games, even though he had just come with us, I put him in at the end of the game if we're behind, because he could get after somebody, and better shooter. But, we said, can we use him on the scout team? He just came with us, because they were in a bowl game or something. Can we use him on a scout team? And the answer was, oh, he won't pick up. He's got to pick up our stuff. Then he's got to pick up the opponent's stuff. Like that, he picked it up. So I think he'll be a very intelligent receiver. And sometimes guys that are great athletes don't get credit for their intelligence. I'll be shocked. Now, it could happen. I'll be shocked if he isn't a very intelligent receiver for you also.
As soon as he get drafted, you start digging up, hey, let's look for some highlights and let's look for some background on Keon. You find his high school basketball highlight reel, and immediately I went, okay.
Could he have played basketball in your mind?
No doubt. I mean, immediately 15 dunks come up and I don't mean he struggled to get it up over the rim. I mean, just glided down the court and threw it. I mean, I went, well, this clearly is why Coach Izzo recruited this kid to play basketball too. You touched on it a little bit, but how was that recruiting process? And kind of when you saw him for the first time and his athletic ability, what were your thoughts?
I said, damn. but I mean, Kansas was trying to get him a little bit too, and I told our football coach at the time, I'm going to recruit him, and I watched them and I watched film on him, but I called him, and a lot of football guys. I'm a basketball guy that likes football more. A lot of football guys like basketball more because those practices in football, especially in November. I know you're in house a lot, but you're out on the field some in November and December. And so I think a lot of football guys like basketball. He'd call me all the time, man. We just got a relationship, and he's got a personality, as you know. And sometimes you got to temper it a little bit, but when I saw his press conference, I just laughed. I called him. I said, "Hey, settle down a little bit. Just having fun. And that's what I think he is. I think he's a guy that can have fun, and yet he can lock in when it's time to play. So those basketball highlights were legit, and that's why I said if he just came to college and homed in on basketball, he could have been a Charlie Ward. He could have probably played both, and both at a very high level. And there's not a lot of people that can do that, because to do that, you have to be a great athlete. You have to be very intelligent to pick up stuff quickly. And you got to be able to shift gears on different kinds of coaches. That's why I always love guys that play multiple sports. Most people in basketball want them to just basketball. I like guys that have been coached by different people, coached in different ways. So Keon's he's been through the ringer, he's been coached different ways. Randy Livingston was one of his coaches in high school. Randy played in the NBA. Very good player, good friend of Keon's. I just saw him the other day. I'm going to try to get up. Him and I are going to try to get up there for one of his early games and come see him play. So I expect you to take care of me, probably take me out to lunch, and not at Burger King either.
No, we'll be getting some wings. You let me know when you get into town. We'll go grab some wings, and I'll make sure that we'll stop by. We won't participate in the table thing, but I'll make sure that you get a good view from the back and watching them go down through the tables, because Coach, there is nothing like a game day in Buffalo and seeing those fans and the Bills Mafia get after it. But you will be.
I'll get my guy Pat Morris with me, because he still lives there, and
great.
We'll have a good time. But I really think your fans. Hey, we all know, if you drop a pass, you're a bad guy. If you miss a play, it is what it is. But I do think your people who drafted him, I thought he could have been a first rounder, and he goes the first pick of the second round, which is in football still phenomenal. So I give credit to your organization there. I think they did their homework, and I think they found a good player who's going to be a good guy, and I think, make winning important, and he's played multiple sports. I think there is an advantage to that, and we'll see how he does.
Izzo, thank you so much for your time. I know you're super busy. I appreciate all the intel on Keon Coleman. When I circle back with him, I'll let him know you said hi. Thanks again, Coach.
Yeah, make sure you do that, because I talked to him the other day, and I think, when do they start?
Well, we get next Wednesday. We are training camp. So, the rookies now have to report a few days before. They're in Orchard Park now.
I want to say I thought he was heading up there.
Yep. He's already in. He's in. The vets don't get until next Wednesday.
Yeah, I thought he said he was coming up Monday. So that was 2-3 days ago, maybe. But yeah, tell him I said hello.
I will for sure.
And enjoy him, and hold him accountable.
Always. And I'll also tell Coach Oates that you're taking credit for that Final Four appearance, since you give him some pointers from all those practices. He snuck in too.
Nate used to come here. He spent a lot of time in my house. He'd come here for camps, and he's done a hell of a job there.
He has.
He did a good job at Buffalo at the university, and he's done a good job out there. But I enjoyed it. Maybe we'll talk during the year. If Keon has a couple of touchdown passes, make sure you call me. If he drops a couple of them, don't
lose my number. All right. Thanks again, Coach. Hey, And good luck on the recruiting path. I know that you're in the thick of it right now. Good luck landing some of those top guys. We'll be cheering for you here in Buffalo, and I hope you can do the same for Keon.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.